Oh, goodness. Guess what? It went live and it didn't tell us. Hey, everybody,
I love
welcome
it.
to Let's Start Networking. Oh, my gosh, guys, that's so funny. I can't wait to see what that looks like. I'm Terilee Harrison, and what a way to start a Monday, huh, Caryn?
Good
uh,
morning.
Dang it. It was like it's just sitting there. Hi, guys. I'm Terilee Harrison. So happy to be with you. I am passionate about helping coaches, consultants, and solopreneurs be able to network in the most dynamic and lucrative way. And I am joined today by the amazing Caryn White. She's a life and mindset coach. Hi, Caryn. How are
Hi, how you
you?
doing? I'm good. I was like, you paused, and I'm like, oh. I was like, are we live? We're live. Yeah. No,
It
I'm doing
wasn't
really good.
going
Thank you.
live. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. You know what? I love technology, and sometimes it's just pristine, and every once in a while it's interesting. But today, speaking of that, today we're going to talk about positivity, and so this is just a great way to segue in. So, right?
Focus on the positive. Exactly. I agree.
Yes, no, we can choose to move forward positively. So I would love to introduce you all to Caryn a little bit more formally. So she is a life and mindset coach, and she helps take you from where you are right now to where it is you want to go. She is coming to us. She's my neighbor here in Singapore. In fact, we have met in person, and I look forward to
I
doing
know.
that again. Yeah, it is fun to meet our virtual business networking partners in person for sure. In person. So, welcome, welcome. So glad that you're here today.
Thank you. Yeah, me too.
We have a theme this week. Caryn's one of the speakers at our virtual team global gathering that's happening later in the week. And our theme is the power of positivity. So I'm going to be talking about positivity a lot this week across my social platforms. And I don't know if Caryn probably knows this. I don't know if as a life and mindset coach, but I don't know if everybody knows this, but positivity can actually be one of our giftings. So positivity is one of the strengths in the strengths finders that poll that Gallup has. In fact, positivity is in my top 5. And so I tend to just naturally be one of those. My glass is half full persons. I can say lovingly, my youngest son, positivity is not in his top strengths. And so he tends to run more his glass is half empty. And so it's interesting as you have people like that in your life, and how do you work together on the things, and how do you live life together. So it's been interesting. But Caryn brought us 3 tips, three
Yes.
awesome tips for choosing in on the power of positivity. And I know the first one is that it's important to choose how you're going to show up. Can you tell us more about that? We'd love to hear.
No, thank you, Terilee, for the introduction. Firstly, thank you so much. I'm really thankful to be here today to have this opportunity to sort of talk about this because, like you said, we've got a mix of people in our lives and everything happening, and it's very easy to say you should be positive, but not everybody is. Like, not everyone looks at it that way, but that doesn't mean they're not a positive person. It's just maybe a little bit harder for them to kind of look at it that way. And like you said, so the first tip is about, it's sort of aligning your subconscious and your conscious mind. That's what I like to sort of look at. And part of that is you consciously choosing how you're going to show up. So that is like realizing your subconscious mind is actually telling you this little story. We all hear it in the back of your mind. But if you want to actually make a positive change, you actually have to consciously make that choice and say, this is who I want to be. And so for me, like I did that. I was going down this not so good place, and I recognized it. I became aware of it. And then I made that conscious choice to say, I don't want to be that person anymore. And it was, it's quite powerful when you actually choose to do that. You consciously are telling your mind. It didn't mean everything changed overnight, but I made that first choice. And I think that's really important if you are feeling like you're maybe a more negative person sometimes. And it's totally fine because, as you said, some people are more negative, some people are more positive. We default, generally, it's that negative bias, isn't it? We default to being more negative. Our brains do that. So it's not a bad thing. It's just that you need to make that conscious choice. Yeah, really
I love
important.
that. I love that. Kareem Jackson is with us from the Philippines watching. Hi, Kareem. We're glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. So let's talk then. Once we choose, where do you go from there? You probably need to take action, right?
Absolutely. So that's tip number 2 is, and I think it's quite obvious to some people, like, okay. And I think like for people that are watching this call, they've already probably taken this action. They're probably already on their journey of self-discovery and figuring things out. But it's really important to change that sort of message your subconscious mind is telling you, is to actually take those little steps, like, small steps, big priority, choosing who you want to show up as, and then taking that action. So for me, for example, I made a choice that who I was at this point in time wasn't who I wanted to be. And I had these voices, but I thought the story that I'd been told my entire life was who I was. Because, for example, for me, one of the stories that I'd been telling myself, or had been in my head, was that I was a messy, disorganized person. And I was this person for a large amount of my young adult life. And I just thought that's who I was. So if I would see things that needed to be done, I'll be like, my mind would be telling me, don't worry, you're too tired, leave that. Do that later. It's okay. It'll be fine. You're just too tired. And I had this story running through. And then I decided this is not who I wanted to do. So I started to sort of, I guess, test it as such, like listening to podcasts and all that kind of thing. I started to get ideas and I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. So instead, when I saw the bed needed to be made, I'd get up and I'd make it straight away. If I had to put something away, I'd put it away straight away. If I had things on my mind, I'd write them down and make a list of priorities of what I was going to action. Not everything, obviously. And what I noticed, it didn't happen overnight. I don't want to sound like a commercial, but it didn't happen overnight. But after about 6 months, I remember thinking, there was one particular day, and I recall it, and I got out of bed and I turned around, I looked at my bed, and my mind actually said, quickly make your bed, it won't take long. And I was like, and then I'd be like, say my clothes, my husband and I kindly put my clothes folded on the bed to put away. My mind was saying, quick, just chuck those away, it'll take you 5 minutes. And I remember thinking, what? Like, where's this come from? But it was from me taking those little steps.
Yep.
And over time it became, and it's part confidence as well, isn't it? It's like you become more confident with yourself, and having that evidence, I started to realize that I can actually change my mind. I can change that voice that's going on in my head, and it becomes a more positive because I've chosen that. And obviously it can go the other way as well, right? If we choose to take action in the other direction, then that's going to be more negative. But I wanted to show up as a more positive person. I wanted to start making a difference and choosing who I was going to be, and consciously making that choice. And then with that, those little steps, take that action. That was really important for me. And seeing those changes, once you see those changes, it's amazing. Like, you just get so excited. You're like, oh, this works, and then you start to put those little things in place, and then it just becomes a snowball. And it's pretty amazing.
I've been working lately. I was exposed to a new book by a coach, Steve Hardison. The book is actually written by his wife, Amy Hardison. Do you know about it? The Ultimate Coach?
No. Oh, I've heard the book. Yes.
Yes. It's the Ultimate Coach, and there's a Facebook group and where everyone's talking about the conversations of what they're learning in the book. But speaking of, this is all focused on who am I being? So who am I being as a wife? Who am I being as a mother? Who am I being as a leader? Right? And so I've been looking at just in general in my life, and I want to say every day wake up and say, in my being, I am kind and loving. I am love and kindness, right? Yeah. But the only thing is I'm watching myself in the world, because this is the thing, Caryn. For us in Singapore, I don't know about you, but I'm not out that much. And so, but I'm watching myself. Like, I just recently flew home from the US, and I was by a very cranky lady on the plane. Very cranky. Positivity is not in her top 5 at all, right? And just very complaining and all the things. And I was like, she was like bothering me, and I was like, but who are you being in this? And so I'm watching myself more and paying more attention, and I'm like, wow, some of the things that I say, just like in conversation to my husband, they're not always kind. Yeah. So I am working on claiming that, shifting that, making the conscious decision that if there was something in general I used to always love to say about whatever, that I'm not going to do that anymore. And so it's been it is a shift, and it's been interesting, and I can't wait to see as it more fully develops.
And that's the thing, it becomes a habit, doesn't it? Like, you start to, it doesn't become like consciously, it's like, okay, I've got to do this. Like, when I started with make the bed, I was constantly fighting that, and I was like, oh, but I don't want to make the, right now. And I would be, but then it just becomes And
Yep.
it becomes easier as you do more of it, but you have to
Yes.
fight that voice telling you,
Yes.
like you said, to default to what you're used to. And it's not, and I think it's realizing that that default that we think is just who we are, and you do hear that a lot, don't you? You hear people saying, oh, that's just who I am.
Yep.
And it really, it's amazing how I notice that more, and you probably do as well. You when you're consciously working on yourself, you start to realize when people around you that you love and you care for, you hear them say such words in their vocabulary a lot, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't like that, because it's so, you know, what you think you create is that everyone knows that sort of that one, right? And it's this quote that I had on this particular course I'm doing. It was I really liked it. It said, "A person is not their thoughts, just like they're not their clothes." So it's, you know, I like that. It's I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, I like that idea. Is, you know, we put clothes on to be a certain person.
Yeah.
You know, we're on this course, so we're not in our pajamas.
No.
You know,
No.
we've been, you know,
We're
we're
showing
showing up. We're showing up as who we are when we're like,
Yep.
you know, we're doing this. And so it is realizing that you're not necessarily that person. You don't have to be that. And I think, yeah, you're right. It's like, you know, choosing consciously, this is who I am. You're
Yep.
changing that behavior. It's so important.
Yep. I love the examples that we gave, because they're real life things that I think people can relate to. So let's talk about the third point. So now that we have looked at, we're going to choose how we're going to show up. We've looked at taking action. How important is it? So we're working on our internal self, but
Yes.
we need to look at our outside world too, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And that would be my final tip today, would be just, you can work and focus on your subconscious, and you can work on your internal self and be really aware, which is so important. Like, that's your first steps. But then you have to then look and be aware of what's going on out in the external world. And I think you probably hear a lot about this as well. As, you know, there's a lot of negativity going on out there, and our brains will tend to find that, like, you know, in the world, and focus on it and start going down that rabbit hole. But I mean, tips that you can do yourself is, you know, look at who you're following. I did that as well, because, you know, if you're like me, you probably have had people as your Facebook for like forever. You're still maybe seeing things in the feed every so often, or groups you've belonged to that were maybe who you used to be. On Instagram, people you follow, LinkedIn even, all of that. And that stuff's coming into your feed. And maybe it was funny 10, 20 years ago, but now you're like, oh, yeah, I've kind of moved on and I'm not that person. And seeing that, as much as you might scroll through it quickly, how is that affecting you? Like, how is that? It's making it maybe a bit more challenging for you to become that person you are becoming. And I think it's really looking at that. And then it's also looking at the friends and the people you hang out with most. You know, I think everyone that I've talked to, you know, you always have maybe a family member that maybe takes a lot of energy from you, and not in a good way, and you want to be there for them. There's other things going on, but it is, and that's what it's about. It's like, you might be friends that you hang out with that are more negative most of the time, and they might be lovely people, but maybe, you know, you're not going down there. Maybe you put a little, you work on, okay, when I catch up with this person, I need to be aware that they're going to be quite negative, and I'm not going to go down that path. You know, I'm going to switch the conversation. I'm going to try and help them, you know, something like that. Just think, you don't have to give up and go, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. I'm not hanging out with you because I'm on this little path. It's not about that. It's just being aware of who those people are in your life. And I think one coach I sort of did a course with her with, she was talking about energy in and energy out. So it's really looking, you know, who's draining energy from you, who are you getting energy from, or what are you getting energy from, and what's taken away. And that's a good thing to kind of be aware of, I think. So yeah, really important.
Very important. In the years ago, I would have never not I wouldn't even say unfriend people, but unfollowed people. And I do now sometimes, just because it's necessary. I want my Facebook feed to be pouring into me, and then I have to ask myself, what am I putting out there too?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is just being aware of that kind of what message, and really just showing up. It goes back to the first one, right? It's like choosing who you want to be, who you're going to show up as. And from that, it kind of just, it starts to kind of become, and like, I know, and you know yourself, right? You always, this is a constant ongoing journey, and it's ups and downs. There's ups and downs all the time, but, you know, making that choice and being on that journey, that's pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
It's a great time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
We're joined here by Jeannie Mohammed. Jeannie, thanks for being here. And then we have a Facebook user that I can't identify, but just happy to be here and loves positivity and positive people. So yay, we love that. We love that.
That's a good thing.
Yes. Yes. Kareem says, yes, negative people, the skeptics, he stays away and limits his exposure. Excellent, Kareem. That's
Well
awesome. That
done.
is awesome.
Amazing. Yeah.
So, Caryn and I are super excited. We are both part of our virtual team global gathering event that's happening this Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern time. That's Friday morning. And it is, I got to get it right, 7 a.m. in Singapore and 10 a.m. in Melbourne, Sydney. Woohoo! And
You
so,
got it.
yay! So we would love to invite you. This is a 90-minute event, and it is an hour of global online networking, followed by Caryn's going to be speaking more about the power of positivity. She's also joined by Tommy Summers, who will be speaking as well. We'll be going live with Tommy tomorrow. If this is a topic that interests you, and we want to invite you to be part of this free event, you can register, get more information at vteamgathering.com. You can attend live. We'd love to have that. But if you're interested in the positivity portion and you just want to catch the replay, you can do that when you register as well. So, Caryn, if people are loving you, which I'm sure they are, and resonating with you, how can they stay in the conversation with you in the meantime?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have obviously Instagram and LinkedIn, and I also have my Facebook group that I have for people to come that are quite like focused on their just themselves and just getting better. I mean, my business that I have is called Inner Happiness Mastery, and I mean, I think it speaks for itself. It is about focusing on you finding that clarity, becoming more self-aware, and then focusing on goals for yourself. But then underlying it is find that inner happiness within yourself. And that sort of specialty, which is all about positivity, just really filling yourself up inside and realizing you don't need everyone else to make you happy. You don't need everyone else to keep you positive. You know, it's all about you and what you choose. And yeah, so I can definitely on LinkedIn is probably the easiest place to find me because I think this is going to be on there. And then from there, I can connect with you. But yeah, I mean, I share things on my Instagram and my social media all the time. So yeah, I'd love to stay in touch.
Excellent, everyone. Well, I want to invite you to stay in touch with Caryn. So, Caryn, thanks for your time. Look forward to seeing you in person and having coffee soon. Let's get that scheduled.
Yes.
Or tea. We're going to do tea. And then I will see you all back here tomorrow for the next edition of Let's Talk Networking when I'll be talking to Tommy Summers more about positivity. So, everyone go on and have a great rest of your day at Let's Talk Networking. Our theme is let's cheer each other on and help each other grow. So, see you all tomorrow. Thanks, Caryn.
Welcome.